That's right, folks. It's a Sunday Live Start Sit show for week 6. We're super excited to be back again on Sunday to talk about your Start Sit questions. And of course, we'll be breaking down some key injuries, news, and notes that you need to know for this week 6. We're super excited. Make sure you're also checking out all the great tools and resources over on Razzball.com. We have great slot first wide analysis, targets by defense, whatever you need to get an edge in your fantasy leagues. And today, we're excited to break all that down along with answering your start sit questions starting right now on the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm going to bring in my first co-host today. You know her as Gladys, and we all know her as Gladys. I don't even know why I said it like that. This is clearly why I shouldn't be hosting. I'm out of my mind this morning. Gladys, you can find her on Twitter at Gladys L. Tyler. What's going on, Gladys?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm like a half zombie right now. Got landed late from my flight last night, and I'm just half here. But I'm excited to talk some start sits today. I'm excited to talk about some matchups with my Razzball team. It's good to get the roots back. It's good. I'm excited. So before I bring in my next guest, Gladys, is there anything what are you looking forward to the most this week?
Okay,
Any
so
player and team. What's the thing that gets you going right now?
here's my thing. I don't think that the Kansas Buffalo game is going to go as high as everyone says. So I'm looking forward actually to the Seattle Arizona game because I think it's going to be crazy. And as a Steeler fan, I'm not looking forward to the Tampa Steeler game since we have like 4 DBs that aren't going to be playing. And it's just going to be as ugly as the Buffalo game, which I thought couldn't get any uglier, but it just might. It just might. Yeah, it's not pretty.
It's those batch injuries, right? That's Steelers secondary.
Like
We'll talk about that in just a minute. That is absolutely wild. Let's bring in my next co-host today. You saw he made his debut last week, right? So this guy comes on, shows up. We're like, who is this guy? Next thing you know, he's just crushing the podcast. And I'm like, all right, we had to sign a contract. We have him officially pen to paper. The man is Derek Favret. What's going on, Derek?
Morning, Bobby. How you doing? Morning, Gladys. Good to meet you. Good to be out
here
Derek,
with you. How are you?
Oh, of course,
Pretty
man.
good.
Listen, so same question to you. What's the one, maybe a player or situation you're going to be watching the most for week 6?
Big thing for me is these running back situations. We've got a number of cases this week where we had running back committees that are now dissolved, whether it's by injury or other reasons. And, we've got a number of guys who people are going to be really high on, or they're going to wonder, do I start this running back or do I stick with my, number ones? What are we going to do? I mean, that's going to be really fun to see how this all plays out.
The Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker questions I can't wait for today as they're asking us to start. Do I start these guys over like Joe Mixon? It's like, I don't know anymore. Maybe, who knows? We'll find out later today. I'm super excited. Let's bring in the last guy. The guy who's going to be running our ship today and who had to take out the dog and force me into the driver's seat again. Thanks, Sky. It's my main man, Sky Gawaska. You can follow him on Twitter at Sky Gawaska. What's going on, man?
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, get a little house cleaning before we get going here. You know how it is. Yeah. It's just about sunrise here on the West Coast, so we got to get our things in. But very happy to be back. Very excited for week 6. And Bob, let me jump into your question here really quickly before we already have a couple of comments. The thing I'm looking forward to this week is I'm hoping Kirk Cousins can show up to a football field in a matchup he should absolutely obliterate and then actually do it. Too many times we've been very excited about Kirk Cousins. And, of course, Justin Jefferson's on another planet. But Kirk Cousins, sometimes we're like, man, this is a smash game. Should be at least 303, maybe 404, and we know that's capable. This Miami secondary is horrendous. They're the worst in DVOA. They're third worst in pass rush. This should be a smash for the Vikings and Kirk Cousins this week. Let's see if it actually happens.
I got so much Adam Thielen, so that got me a little excited. Thank you, Scott. A little twinge.
You're welcome.
A little excitement first thing in the morning.
KJ Osborne, huge game. Be ready for
it. Well, you see him pimping my Viking, Dante Culpepper throwback jersey today for that very reason.
God, those Vikings teams were so fun, man. Ooh.
If I start Adam Thielen, he goes for like 4 for 35, and KJ Osborne goes off, I will quit the show. I'm quitting the show because I will hate everybody and everything. So Adam Thielen, this is a shout out to you, my friend. I love fantasy football. Don't do this to me and the people. Have a big game, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, Derek, quick side note here before we get started. I collect jerseys. I have since I was a little kid. So back in the day when it was like the late 90s, Culpepper, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, John Randall Vikings and things. I have a Robert Smith Vikings jersey from back in the day as well,
nice.
out of Ohio State. So a rando, but I'll throw one out there for the OGs.
Yeah.
Gladys, good morning.
My wife,
nice to see you again.
went to college with him, so that's.
Oh, really cool.
She's got that. So
right on, love it. And is that a Q's hat?
It is pimping the 6-0 Syracuse Orange.
Man, a lot of upsets yesterday in college football yesterday too. Man, a lot going on. College, or we got baseball for those of you baseball people out there. Playoff baseball, we're excited. All right, y'all, very excited to be back for week 6. Once again, make sure to follow everybody here on Twitter, of course, and of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, download the podcast per usual, and go to razzball.com for all of our amazing articles. Let's get right into it here. Do you have a couple questions? Brian in nice and early. Appreciate that. Let's jump right into it. We know the vibe here. Brian and everybody else tuning in, please make sure to give us your league settings when possible. Flex position does help us, but when we're talking running backs versus wide receivers and things like that, it's really helpful if we can have half PPR, full PPR, standard league, any bonus scoring, super flex, tight end premium, things like that. So just a gentle reminder as we get rolling this morning. All right, first one here. My boy Jeff Wilson, Darrell Henderson. There you go, Bob, right off the bat. Ken Walker, question 1. And Brian just popped in. Appreciate that. This is half PPR. So we'll go back to it here. Jeff Wilson, Darrell Henderson, Kenneth Walker for the flex position. And Derek, we'll start with you today.
Wow. Tough one right off the bat. If I'm just looking at ceiling, I really think Walker probably has the highest ceiling today. I'm playing Henderson in a lot of places, so I'm hoping he should get all the carries or most of them anyway, and he's a good runner anyway. Gets the red zone carry, so I'm personally going Henderson, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Walker has just a huge game today.
Yeah, Cam Akers is out, and of course Rashaad Penny out for the season as well. Gladys?
I'm going to go Kenneth Walker in a game that has a 50.5 over under. Walker is, like you said, Walker is the man in that backfield right now. Arizona is giving points up to both the tight end position and the running back position in a game that should be heavy on both sides. Walker does catch passes out of no. Yeah, I'm going Kenneth Walker.
Honestly, we don't even know yet. Like, honestly, we don't know what, like Rashaad Penny was like, I'm going to rush for like 150 yards, but I'm going to get a half a target every week, which is like, okay. I mean, Walker had a big run. You know, it's funny. The matchup actually does favor Jeff Wilson against Atlanta, and I should go with the spreadsheets. But I just think which I should. I know I should go with the spreadsheets, but I'm actually going to go Walker. I just think that Seattle run game, they kind of lean on that one guy, and I think that Walker with the first game without Penny, and that Arizona game should be fun. So I think I'm going to go Walker slightly ahead of Wilson in this one.
Kenneth Walker had a large run last week, of course, and 11 yards per carry is probably not sustainable. He did score last week. However, as far as the targets and receptions for Seahawk running backs, that's never been something, right?
Yeah, but Geno Smith has never been something either.
Totally agree. I guess what I'm saying is it's, 3 targets. So just Kenneth Walker as a backup so far this season. Mm-hmm. 3 targets, 1 target, none last week when he actually played more of a feature role without Rashaad Penny. So never bank on, I guess what I'm saying is never bank on the receptions for Seahawk running backs. But if they come, it's just kind of frosting on top, right? For me, I'm going Jeff Wilson for sure. Of course, I'm a Niner homer, but I believe in this matchup as well with the 49ers against the Falcons. I love my boy Marcus Mariota as well, but this defense is the number 1 defense in the NFL. I think they smashed Atlanta early, and they're on the road across the country, which means that they're going to want to run the ball, I think, a little bit more today than usual, which they already do. And Jeff Wilson's averaging about 18 carries per week right now. He's got over 100 yards and touchdown in 2 games in a row here. So I think this is Jeff Wilson season for a while. I do like Darrell Henderson, but I just, for some reason, can't trust the Rams offense as much as we all did coming in here. So there you go. Primarily Ken Walker around the board there, Brian, but I'll throw a curveball and go with Jeff Wilson. All right, here's a little more beef to the question here. Has Aaron Jones, Henderson, Walker, Jeff Wilson, Singletary? So we'll just go around robin here quickly. I just saw this. let's see. So the starting running back, I'm sure, is Aaron Jones. And so let's start two others. Everybody will go back around real quick. Henderson, Walker, Jeff Wilson, Singletary. Derek, I'll throw it back to you. So RB2 and flex, essentially.
RB2 and flex. Yeah. So I really like the matchup that Singletary has. The Chiefs are really not very good with the running back. That's going to be a shootout, but there's just so many mouths to feed there. I'm just really skittish on going with Singletary, but I really like him there. So kind of going back to what we talked about, I think Walker has the ceiling of the three running backs we just talked about. So in this situation, I would go Henderson, Walker. Got it.
Gladys, back to you.
I'm gonna stick with Walker, and then I'm gonna go Singletary because I heard a stat that Singletary is used mostly when the game is competitive. Like he's the oxymoron of a running back. Like you expect him to be used when the game is out of reach. And I think this game, although I don't think KC can live up to the Bills, I think it will be competitive. So I'm going to go Singletary, Jones, Walker.
Interesting. Bob?
So Kansas City actually struggles against pass catching RBs, and when these get these high scoring games, you see Singletary get more involved in the pass game too. So I do think I'm gonna go with Walker and Singletary as well. I mean, Jeff Wilson's so close. It's like those three guys I'm okay with really after Aaron Jones. So, but I'm gonna stick with Walker and Singletary here.
Gladys, I really appreciate the note there that Singletary is more involved when it's more competitive. But I'm looking at his, and I know the Bills have blown out pretty much everybody this season so far. But still, I mean, his best game is running back 4 in PPR. He had 24 fantasy points. He had 13 rushing yards, 78 receiving yards, and a touchdown, which is an amazing game. And I just don't know that that's going to happen necessarily there either. I'm going to take the guaranteed work of Jeff Wilson, and then I like everything everybody else said about Ken Walker ahead of time. I just have Jeff Wilson higher, so I will go with Wilson and Walker. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you jumping up with a big question right off the bat. Jefferson 23, good morning. A regular here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Start Sit Show on Sunday mornings. Thanks so much for chiming back in. Good morning to you as well. Running back 2, half PPR. That's how you do it. Way to set the scene. RB2, half PPR, Mostert, Robinson, ETN. So this has got to be James Robinson. Brian Robinson is off the dock as he played on Thursday. So Mostert, James Robinson, or ETN. Thanks for all the help. Let's go with Gladys to start here.
I think Mostert's coming into the game with the hurt designation, isn't he? Bobby?
He's questionable. Let me double check here. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ETN in a game that is a recap of week 2. They played him in week 2 where they absolutely destroyed them, I think. And ETN was getting more snaps, gradually getting more snaps. He's becoming more of the running back we thought he would be when he first came out. So he's getting more targets too. Robinson is still holding firm to the rushing part, but at a half PPR, I'm going to go ETN. I think they're going to use him a lot more than Robinson when they need the pass game. Sorry.
Raheem Mostert is nursing a knee injury. He had a limited practice on Thursday, no practice on Friday. He came out to the media yesterday and said that he will be quote unquote fine and expects to play today. That's the report
fine
that we have here. So Bob,
fine.
He'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, they played a couple weeks ago. I mean, James Robinson had like 23 carries for like 64 yards. It wasn't like impressive or anything, but he was the workhorse. No JT, Hines on the other side. I think that Jacksonville is going to be competitive in this game. I think James Robinson is going to get that work. So I'm actually going to go James. Do I want to go James Robinson over Raheem Mostert? I don't really, but I don't. You know what? Screw it. Let's go Mostert. I'm going to go Mostert anyway. Let's go.
Derek?
Yeah, of the 2 Jaguars running backs, I like Robinson better today. But I was a Mostert truther last week.
You were, my man.
Mostert truther. Yes, and I'm going to be again this week. That matchup is great for him. Yeah, he's a little banged up, but who isn't? In the NFL these days. I'm going to trust that he's healthy enough to get through the game. It's a great matchup. I'm going Mostert again.
Yeah, I like it. I'll go Mostert also. I just want to add a little color to the James Robinson ETN debate because I'm a big ETN guy and I love James Robinson, but preseason I was all about ETN because I just didn't think James Robinson would be healthy enough to play. Obviously, he has been and then some, but the trends are a little bit nervous. And I know that he got most of the work against the Colts last time, but first of all, the Colts are the toughest team against wide receivers in fantasy football right now. So I'm sure all of our viewers right now already have the slot versus wide spreadsheet pulled up on their other screen to make sure that they're double checking our work right now that Bob put so much time and effort into. But if you're on that, you will notice that the Colts are very good against the pass. Therefore, I think Jacksonville might have a little trouble there and they might run the ball extra. In weeks 1 through 3, Robinson rushed for 18 yards, 18 times for 56 yards. Excuse me. Sorry. Let me start all that over. Weeks 1 through 3, he ran 51 times, 230 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The last 2 games, they've been going more to ETN, and he ran 18 times for 56 yards and no touchdowns. So the pivot to ETN has not worked out for the Jaguars, is what I'm saying. They're losing games that ETN's the head back there. This is a divisional game. We'll see what happens. I think James Robinson probably gets more work, but I lean Mostert as well. All right.
Go ahead. Add to that, I think you're right. I think that they're good against wide receivers on the perimeter, but Kenny Moore in the slot is garbage.
So good.
Yeah. No, he's garbage.
Garbage, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I would play Christian Kirk all day in that matchup. And I'd play ETN too, but that's just me.
There you go.
All right.
Bob, we're going to kick to you here as our
kicker.
Our house field goal maker here.
Kicker.
All right. Okay. So let's get one thing straight here. Okay. So last year we were doing the show. Halfway through the season, okay. There's an origin story for my psychoness. Okay. There's always an origin story. All right. So one week I'm playing fantasy football. We do all this time, energy effort, running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends. We spend all this time. But most of my leagues still have kickers and defenses, right? So we pretend like they don't matter, but they actually freaking matter because they have to score points. So I'm sitting there one week. I think it's like week 6 last year. I get -9 points from my defense and -2 from a kicker. So I'm -11 from those 2 positions, okay? Now keep that in mind. I'm losing my mind. I ended up losing my matchup that week by like 6 points. And I'm thinking to myself, I lost because I got negative numbers from a kicker and defense, okay? That's when I went on this pilgrimage. Let's call it a pilgrimage to figure out what's an analysis I could put together. So I went on to Football Outsiders and I found they do offensive drive statistics where they actually show you how many drives they average every week on offense and defense and how many field goals per drive and touchdowns. So I've cooked up an algorithm. And last year, I'm like Hocus Pocus 2 just came out. It's
tis the season, baby.
I'm in the cauldron and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw this together. And this is how it started. And I started like putting this together and it started working a little bit. So that's why Sky kicks kicker questions to me because I was like, all right, guys, listen, here's what I got from the analysis in the background, right? So here's my 2 kickers I like this week. And one, if Dustin Hopkins was dropped, the Chargers kicker, he's healthy, he's back, he's playing Monday night. Go get Dustin Hopkins. He's playing against Denver, solid matchup. The other one, which is a little less exciting now, is Will Lutz versus the Bengals. Now, Will Lutz, there is no starting receivers for the freaking Saints. They have everybody's out. But I do like that. They still have Alvin Kamara. They can still move the football a little bit. But I love the fact that they might not score. So if you can get Will Lutz or my number 1 pick this week is Dustin Hopkins, that's the thought process. So I like those 2.
I love it. Well done. And totally right. The Saints literally have no starting wide receivers. Which is insane.
But it's basically the 2021 Saints. So like really, ironically, the 3
Taysom
guys
Hill will be fine.
Taysom Hill is going to be able to move the football and all that stuff. But it's going to be the same thing as 2021. So it doesn't matter.
Guaranteed 16 targets for Taysom Hill today. And the general rule of thumb with kickers too is high scoring offenses and inside when you can do it if it makes sense. Any thoughts here on this kicker question from Derek and Gladys here? Which kicker do you prefer this week? Younghoe Koo against the Niners, Brett Maher against Philadelphia tonight. Derek?
I like Maher better there. The Cowboys don't have or haven't been anyway, really lighten it up. It's really ball control. Philly allows teams to move up and down the field. tightening up. So I think Mar gets a number of field goals opportunities tonight. I'm going Mar.
Gladys?
I whenever there's a kicker question and Koo's in it, I always pick Koo. I don't care. I love him. I pick him. Koo. They're not going to be able to score against San Francisco, but Kyle Pitts is back, so they should get at least into field goal range. With Pitts, he's not going to get you any fantasy points, so he's not going to get any touchdowns, but he's going to get into field goal range. And Drake London, I think, is healthy again. So I'm going Koo. It's going to be their only scoring opportunities today.
Kicker number 1, 8-6, 3 weeks, and 25-31. So if there's a boom bust kicker, if that exists, it would be Younghoe Koo there. So
I know, right?
I like that, but Brett Maher's been much more consistent. I do like that. I mean, Atlanta, again, you're probably right. They're probably not going to score a lot of touchdowns, but they might get in the field goal position. They're at home. They're indoors in the dome there. But Brett Maher has been 6, 7, 2, and 7 lately, and against Philly, this should be a shootout, if you will, on Sunday night. So I'll go Brett Maher as well. All right, Jefferson, appreciate you diving in on this. All right. Let's go Debola and Whale. Flex spot here. Rondell Moore or see, this is weird. I got to throw this out there to everybody too. Now that Taysom Hill, I know it's a joke, but Taysom Hill is a thing in fantasy football, unfortunately.
Is that Taysom or Tyreek?
That's exactly what I'm asking. When you put things in here, please do
Tyreek. Come on.
Please right? do a please do a
it's got to be Taysom, yeah.
Taysom or Ty or something like that to help us out of the Tyreek Hill is a bit injured with a backup quarterback, so this wouldn't be crazy per se, but let's assume it's Taysom Hill, and maybe they'll chime back in here. But Rondell Moore, Taysom Hill, and then the ghost of Tyler Boyd. Bob, we got to start with you on this one.
No, I refuse to answer the question. Let's see. Let me just pull up my handy metric. And the cool thing is, and I apologize to the fans out there, but mine's all color coded, so mine's really fun on the back end. I wonder if we could get that on Razzball, like a nice color coded, like the
share. Yeah, you can share your screen if you want.
No,
here we go.
No, Sky. There's too
many.
So
Tyson Hill, which is probably Taysom.
Yeah.
Taysom.
Yeah. Got it.
Oh man. Let's see. Well, I mean, I'm gonna actually go. I don't know what the Taysom Hill thing is super crazy because like he doesn't catch any passes. He gets like one catch for 2 yards, but then he gets 15. He gets like 10 carries. He'll break off a long one. I just think that they're gonna need Taysom Hill this week because of all the injuries in the receiving core. Yeah, I guess I'm good with Taysom Hill over these two guys. I'd be all right with that. Is this PPR, half PPR? We know.
We don't know, but either way, I'm not sure it matters.
I'm gonna go Taysom Hill. Yeah,
Derek.
Yeah, I'm the same. The Saints need somebody to do something. And Kamara, he's going to be a focus of the defense of the Bengals, who are pretty stout against running backs and wide receivers for that matter. But they're a little bit looser with tight ends. So I'm not expecting obviously what we saw before, but of the three, I'm going with Hill.
Gladys.
I'm gonna go Taysom Hill, but I'm not gonna like it. More
good. I'm gonna go with Gladys' answer. I feel the same way.
Yeah, I echo that as well.
Yeah, same.
You feel dirty when you do it,
I know. Taysom Hill only because everybody else is out, right? Yeah. I mean, nobody can predict what happened last week, and I know it was just horrendous for Alvin Kamara folks and everybody else. But the Saints are in just such bad shape with pass catchers. And look, even if Taysom Hill doesn't actually play tight end and catch a lot of passes, which he can, he still might be a quarterback. Like Jameis isn't even 100% good to go per se. And if he gets one hit, he could be out of the game. Then Taysom Hill's the quarterback if Andy Dalton's not ready to go either, So I don't know.
I think Dalton is starting.
They're going to have to find a way to get.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, Dalton's starting, but it doesn't matter. You're still gonna feel dirty. You're still gonna start him. You're still gonna feel like you've done something wrong and bad.
You're gonna feel dirty.
Taysom Hill all around. All right, Mike Jordan. Good morning. The sixth time here. I got a question this week. 49ers DST, Eagles DST. I'm a little worried about the 49ers because of all the injuries. Yes, as a 49er fan, it has been rough here, unfortunately. So we do have some tough defensive of backups coming in. Unfortunately for the Falcons, though, they're in pretty bad shape, and the Eagles are going up against the vaunted Cowboys offense here with Cooper Rush. So we have Niners and Eagles.
Okay.
Jake, I see you, brother. Give us a second.
San Francisco.
Yeah, Bob, you're digging into it. Derek, we can start with you on this one.
Yeah, despite that, I still have to go with the Niners, and not just for what they are or what they've been, but who they're playing. Again, the Falcons are just abysmal right now, and maybe they get this is a get well game for them. Surprise! It would be a surprise if it was, but maybe it is. They've got Pitts and London back, just like we talked about a while ago. We've been shoveling dirt on Dallas and Cooper Rush, since he was named the starter, and all they've done is win. The Eagles they're a little bit vulnerable, even at home, even in the backdrop of the Phillies. Winning yesterday, that place is going to be rocking, but I think the Cowboys still will be able to do something. So I've got to go with the Niners. Go with the better defensive matchup. They're going to get sacks. They're going to, they're going to limit the points. I got to go with the Niners.
Gladys?
I'm going to go. Hold, please. So. Yeah, I'm going to have to go Niners. Mariota's been sacked 7 times. He has thrown 2 interceptions. He has 2 fumbles. You can count on him to turn the ball over at least once or twice that game. And then you can't count on them to score, so they'll get the points there. I'm going to go Niners.
Babo?
I'm going to kick it to you, Sky, because you're the 49ers guy, and you guys are so banged up. It's insane now how many guys are out. You got Kinlaw, you got guys up front. You just lost Mosley in the back end. So what's your thought on this?
Yeah,
Nick and the depth and all that stuff.
Yeah, Nick Bosa as well. Mosley's the big one, man. Torn ACL, that's obviously rough here. I still think that the 49ers have a good game. First of all, Shanahan's really good at having depth at other positions. They might not be marquee names, they may not be superstars, but there's always an answer for the next guy up. With Shanahan and the 49ers. So I think they're going to be just fine on defense. And again, as much as I love Marcus and I'm rooting for him in general, I just don't think the Falcons can compete. Their offensive line is healthy and terrible. And our secondary is still going to be just fine there. So, the consensus across the industry has the 49ers as the number 1 DST still right now on the road in Atlanta. That might be a stretch. I think the Bucs embarrass, unfortunately, the Steelers this week. I think the Rams could have a huge game against the Panthers. I think the Packers could have a huge game against the Jets. So the Niners are probably more like, top 6, 8 for me in fantasy DST versus 1. But nonetheless, over the Eagles, who are getting a Cowboys team who's playing very well, I would go with the Niners. More chance for turnovers and potentially, pick sixes and stuff like that, low scoring game. Whereas the Eagles, this could be a 30-30 shootout and no turnovers. The Cowboys are playing clean football right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers too. I just think that, like you said, I think the 49ers are one of those teams where they're coached well and schematically they can hide those injuries a little bit better. So I'm actually going to lean 49ers as well.
Excellent. All right, Mike, hope that helps you out there. We're going to bring in another guest of ours here. Jacob Charno, who was on with me earlier this week. He's another writer here at Razzball. Jacob, good morning. Thank you for joining us, my man. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing all right. I'm excited. Week 6, a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. It's just, it's so hard to set my lineup this week, man. I have so many guys on a Damian Pierce has been. My running back group is just. I'm taking flyer. I'm going to Flyers this week. I'm going with Deion Jackson. I'm going with Mike Boone. I'm going with it's embarrassing, man. It really is.
That's why we go with depth, my man. I appreciate that. We have the Bob. You can maybe check the archives. I think this is probably the first 5 bucks on. It's definitely the first 5 bucks on Razzball Sunday Live. But I'm thinking even back to the days of Fantasy Focus as well, the first 5 bucks there. So, Jacob, good morning. I appreciate you joining in here. Everybody else, feel free to drop in your comments. We're going to take a quick commercial break and get the rest of us a water break. I'm going to turn over to Bob here and give us kind of a general rundown of what our injuries look like for this week. We have a lot of key players out. I mean, we just heard a Deion Jackson name. You're like, who the hell is Deion Jackson? Well, he's the other guy for the Colts, right? Because we have both Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor out. We have a lot of big names out this week. So Bob's going to take over for a couple of minutes. Handcuffs for handcuffs. We're going to take a couple minute break here. So the rest of us are going to kind of stand idly by. I'll turn over to Bob for a injury report. The rest of us will be back in a few minutes. While you're listening here, please make sure to jump in to our comment section, leave any of your start sit questions, maybe your trade questions. And of course, please leave your league settings, what position they're going into, anything else. And then we will get back to the rest of our questions in just a few minutes. Bob, I will turn to you and the rest of us can chill for a few minutes.
All right. That's great, man. Honestly, first off, I want to take a quick updates. Kyle Pitts officially in, Raheem Mostert officially in, T. Higgins and Hayden Hurst officially in, out. Chris Olave is out. Julio Jones is officially out. Mac Jones is out. Damian Harris, of course, we all know is out. Nick Bosa is out. Surprising left tackle for the Miami Dolphins, Tyron Armstead is officially out today. We, of course, know that they're going to be on their third string quarterback, Skylar Tomlinson. So we're excited to see how that goes, but he'll be down his left tackle officially. So let's jump into these. So first off, Jonathan Taylor, we heard that name come up, the third string running back for the Indianapolis Colts. That's why, because Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines are out today. Marvin Jones is also out. Why is that important? Because when Zay Jones was out a few weeks ago, Christian Kirk actually played inside and out because of that, because Jamal Agnew played primary in the slot. So expect Kirk to have a little bit of a different role today, be more on the outside. I do like that better for his matchup overall as he plays both in and out with Marvin Jones out. Tua, we just brought up, and Teddy Bridgewater out today. We're going to see that young, I think he's like a 6th or 7th round pick quarterback rookie playing today without his left tackle we just brought up. Christian Watson out today. Now, you're going to hear us say Six Score, which is Sports Injury Central. Essentially, it's a website that actually tells you where all the injuries are coming from. So this is Steelers pass D as a 6 score of 52.6. That's basically the average 6 score for a defense is like mid-80s, high 80s. So this Steelers D is really banged up. You want to get your Bucks in there. You want to start Tom Brady. You want to get Chris Godwin and Mike Evans in your lineups. It looks like Cameron Brate will be back from his concussion. So I know those. I know I had Otto, the tight end, in my lineups too last week. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. So the Steelers secondary really banged up. You want to get your Bucks in. And hey, if you're like player props, I'm betting on a nice 5.5 over receptions today for Chris Godwin. Let's jump down to Pat Freirmuth is out today. Gentry is the backup tight end. I don't know if we're going to be going with him today. You're probably going to lean more towards the receivers, but with Pat Freirmuth out, expect more action for guys like George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. Julio Jones, of course, out again today. Look for Russell Gage to be the main third receiver, but I really like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans to really see a lot of that work. Akiem Hicks, studlet defensive tackle for the Bucks, is out today. Hasn't played much this season, but that is notable for Najee Harris. Another one, Ravens defense, of course, once again, their pass D is starting to get a little bit healthier, but they're still really banged up, 61.36 score. So their secondary is still banged up really right there. So you want to attack maybe Darius Slayton today. Could be a deep sleeper, a DFS star throw if you need him, because Golladay and Toney are out once again. Still waiting on word from Rondell Robinson. We'll check that in just a little bit. Saints are down 3 starting. Chris Olave is officially out today along with Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas. That's going to be notable. Expect a lot of Taysom Hill, Marcus Callaway, who last year's #1 wide receiver. Even Adam Troutman showed flashes last week, scored a touchdown. So if you're looking for some, Saints ancillary pieces, maybe an Adam Troutman, Marcus Callaway with those 3 receivers down, but expect a heavy dose of Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara this week. Top cornerback Marshon Lattimore is out today. Talk about great news for Jamar Chase. With T. Higgins nursing an ankle injury, Hayden Hurst banged up, and now no Marshon Lattimore. Maybe we get some Jamar Chase in our lives in our DFS lineups. Gotta love that. Top cornerback for the New England Patriots, Jonathan Jones, is out today. That is notable for them. So that's a slight bump for that. Sorry, let me just pull that up real quick. I just forgot who the Patriots are playing today. Cleveland Browns. So Amari Cooper. Sorry about that, folks. Nelson Agholor out today against Cleveland. So you're going to see probably Kendrick Bourne jump into that 3 receiver set. Expect a lot of Jacoby Myers. Slight bump for him in that matchup. Denzel Ward, top cornerback, is out today for the Cleveland Browns. That's good news for those guys playing on the outside, especially Jacoby Myers actually playing a hybrid role this year, a little bit inside, a little bit outside. So I actually like Jakobi Meyers in this matchup if you want a wide receiver 3. We just talked about the 49ers run deep. Both their 6 scores are in the 60s for run and pass. Should help out the Atlanta Falcons a little bit, especially with Kyle Pitts about 75%. Drake London, or they're going to be down Cordell Patterson playing with Tyler Algier and company at running back. So, but we still like the 49ers D. We think they're coached well, but notable that those guys are banked out. Trent Williams out still with the left tackle for the 49ers. Didn't really hurt Jeff Wilson last week, and I think that they're still humming on offense against Atlanta. So Jimmy G is probably still a streamer, even with the injury of Trent Williams. Baker Mayfield officially out today. Expect Philip Walker to be starting for the Carolina Panthers. Not even sure if that's a big deal. Honestly, Baker Mayfield has been a little sketchy this year. Maybe DJ Moore shows some flashes with Philip Walker, but your guess is as good as mine. Jaycee Horn, one of the top cornerbacks for the Panthers, is out today against the Rams. That's good news for Allen Robinson if you want some feather in the cap here. But Jaycee Horn is one of the better cornerbacks for those Panthers. So, notable there. So maybe a slight bump for Allen Robinson, but pretty much you're betting on Cooper Kupp getting 15,000 targets. The Rams are down 3 offensive linemen still. That's really hurt their run game. This is important because Cam Akers is out today. I know a lot of people are going to be talking about Darrell Henderson starting, but the Rams have really struggled to run the football this season, especially because they're so banged up on the offensive line. Still, Darrell Henderson is on the flex radar because Cam Akers is out. James Conner and Darrell Williams is out today. That means they're going to see a lot of Eno Benjamin for the Cardinals today. Probably a rock-solid RB2 in a very good matchup against Seattle, who just can't stop the run. So Eno Benjamin definitely on the radar. Rashaad Penny, of course, out today. We know he's on IR, done for the season. We're going to see Kenneth Walker making his debut as the clear-cut starter. Like him as an RB2 with Rashaad Penny out for the year. Chiefs are down 2 of their 3 top cornerbacks against Buffalo today. I'm liking some Stephon Diggs and DFS if you could get him into your lineups. Maybe Gabe Davis as well, as both outside cornerbacks who started the season are out today for the Chiefs. And finally, Keenan Allen officially out for the Chargers on Monday night versus the Denver Broncos. Expect a heavy dose of Mike Williams, and of course, expect what's his name? What's the guy? DeAndre Carter to play the slot with Josh Palmer getting more action in 3 receiver sets. Back to you, Sky.
Bob, well done, my man. Always just so on point with the extras. And I always get a lot of value out of the cornerback, defensive outs on that. Like a lot of us pay attention to the fantasy stars, but the defensive ones matter too. So you can try to gain an effort on that. So why don't we throw a bone to Bob here? His burner account has chimed in already this morning, earlier than usual. James Gannon, Bobby Lamarco, fantasy football genius. What a legend. James also has a question for us here. We're going to kick it off with Jacob. Again, Jacob tuning in for just a few minutes this week there, but we did an episode earlier this week, and I wanted to make sure we extend the invite so we get as many folks on here to best our knowledge every single Sunday. So I know you just have a few minutes with us today, Jacob, but thank you for tuning in. Let's start with you on this one. Half PPR, Adam Thielen or Tyler Lockett?
That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Tyler Lockett. I think Geno Smith has a big day, and he's got to throw to somebody, so I think it'll be a nice split between Metcalf and Lockett as we see Lockett get more involved each week. And Thielen is so hit or miss. I think you're much safer going with Lockett.
Derek?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I really do think the Vikings are going to have a great day, but the Dolphins defense really gives it up to wide receivers, 23 points per game versus only 10 points per game out of the slot. And, for Thielen, that's primarily where he lives, in the slot. So he's not going to be able to take advantage of that as much as Jefferson and maybe even Osborne. On the flip side, with Lockett, he's getting 8 targets a game, and the Cardinals will allow some points there to the wide receivers, and that's going to be a high-scoring game as well. But I think Lockett has the better matchup there.
All right, Lockett 2 for 2. Gladys? Oh, I got you on mute.
Sorry. You have to go with Lockett. 53% of Smith's targets go to Lockett and Metcalf, and 57 of his red zone targets go to Lockett and Metcalf. And Lockett's going against Byron Murphy, which I think he'll be okay out of the slot today.
Tyler Lockett, wide receiver 7 over the last 2 weeks, folks.
It's crazy.
Seahawks aren't for real. I'm calling it right now. but they are right now. Bob, Lockett or Thielen?
I'm gonna go out of Thielen. I'm gonna be old.
He has him on his phone. He has him on his team.
I have a lot of Adam Thielen in my fantasy league, so I just need to speak it into existence. Nah, it's just also too. Xavier Howard's banged up. He's playing injured. He is going to be active today, but he's hurt. Byron Jones has been out all year for that Miami secondary, and I just think that they're just going to be humming. I think it's going to be Jefferson Thielen on the outside, and I think they're going to be good to go.
Great. I expect a big game from Kirk Cousins, but like I said, I hope that he actually shows up and smashes Miami here in this one. We'll see what happens. It's a road game. He's outside, whatever. But it's like a non-primetime game, so I hope he just crushes in this game. I am going to go Tyler Lockett, though, as well. I think they're going to be just fine versus the Cardinals. The slot versus wide analysis we did, DT and I did this week, made me less nervous. For some reason, I was scared about the Cardinals. And then I dove deeper into it, and I was like, wait a minute. Nah, they're going to be just fine. So I think Tyler Lockett gets his. Before we get into this next question, Mike Jordan, I know you have another question down here, but we'll get to you in just a second. Jacob, I know you got to get out of here, bud. Before you do that, please make sure you tell everybody right now, all the viewers, what exactly you do for Razzball, where they can find your content quickly, and then give us a couple starts.
Sure. So I'm Jacob Charno. You can find Twitter at Jacob Charno. I'm new here at Razzball, relatively new. I do a weekly start sit article, so this is fitting that I'm going to get my starts. We started off in the article. I'm going to take a major L on this one when I said to start Curtis Samuel, because I thought he was going to have a big day. He ended up having not a big day, we'll say, on Thursday night, but starting anybody in that Bears Commanders matchup was risky as it was. But yeah, so my starts this week, I'll give one in each position from my article. So Tom Brady, I think feasts, bounces back, has an absolute day against the Steelers defense. Breece Hall, I think he gets the majority. He's kind of taken over that backfield. Green Bay has really not been that good against the run. Saquon torched them last week. And they didn't do too well against the Patriots either the week before. Darius Slayton I love him at the receiver position today. Baltimore is not great against receivers. And Daniel Jones has to throw to somebody, and he's sure as hell not throwing to Kenny Golladay or Kadarius Toney. So I think Slayton gets the majority of those targets. And then Zach Ertz, in a position that has been so up and down, Ertz has been really consistent, which is nice to see. So if you're not starting Zach Ertz for some reason, he's absolutely a start. And then, if you want some sits, I got some sits. I got Matt Ryan. I just don't. Blech. It's just not a pretty name to start. Not a guy I'm starting this week. Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert is taking over that backfield. Noah Brown with Michael Gallup back. Noah Brown has kind of become irrelevant in this Cowboys offense. And then Dalton Schultz, once again with Cooper Rush at quarterback. He just, he's doing nothing, and he's playing banged up. So there's that.
Awesome. Jacob, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Everybody go check out Jacob's article, the rest of our articles as well for free on razzball.com. You can get those starts and sits of the week. I know you got a jet, my man. Let's get to Mike Jordan really quick. I'll start with you, and you can sign off. Thank you so much for the time here. I got a bunch of people on bye next week. Next week is the bye-pocalypse. I know it's the Bills and Eagles, and there's a bunch of teams. I'll get the clarity on that, but I'm trying to beat the waiver wire and have to drop someone. In full PPR, cut one of these guys, Adam Thielen or Michael Carter. You like Breece Hall, of course. We just faded Adam Thielen. Who are you feeling to cut here, Jacob?
Oh man, I guess Michael Carter, right? Like that's, oh god, that's, I don't know. I don't like that at all. I'll go with Carter though.
Got it. And it kind of depends on your roster makeup, right? If you have two running backs, you don't want to drop Michael Carter, and if you have 2 or 3 wide receivers, you don't want to do that either. Jacob, it's been a pleasure, buddy. I'll let you go. Hopefully we can see you next week, man. Have a great weekend and good luck.
Yes, sir. Sorry I couldn't stay on for longer, guys, but enjoy week 6.
You got it. Oh, yeah. Better. Go Jets.
Yes, sir.
See ya. All right, y'all. Let's get back to this one here, and then we'll get back to some of the follow-up questions here. So you have to cut one: Adam Thielen, Michael Carter. Derek. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got you on mute as well. Sorry, Derek. I had you muted as well. Go ahead.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, in a vacuum, I'd have to say the name is Carter too, but I think you really got to look at this a little further in specific to your league, Mike. Which of those 2 names will be easier to replace? When it's time to build that post-bye roster up, and it might not be Carter. You might be able to find a wide receiver to pull back in, whether it's Thielen or another name, later on when you need to make further cuts to get that base lineup back. But again, in a vacuum, I'd say it's Carter. But I would think a little bit more. Try to project a little further out and see what you're going to do, 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, and see if that helps you make your decision.
That's a good call there, Gladys. Cut one. Adam Thielen, Michael Carter.
So, like you were saying, Buffalo, Rams, Minnesota, Eagles, all on a bye next week.
Oof.
Yeah. Like it depends on who's on his roster. Like I wouldn't want to cut Carter because he's like vulturing the end zone catches from Breece Hall. I wouldn't want to cut Thielen because he's I don't know. I would actually cut Carter, I guess, if I had to.
Bob?
So if we're going to be proactive, I think I'm going to take another viewpoint on this. Like, I would go look at the Breece Hall owners roster and say, all right, maybe I could do a 2-for-1 flip here. Give him Michael Carter and another player, maybe these two guys, and go get another player, maybe an upgrade somewhere. In a vacuum, I'm going to drop Carter because of the fact that it's becoming like he's like a touchdown dependent RB2, and because he's ceding most of the work to Breece Hall. But I personally think that if I can go look at the the Breece Hall owner, maybe try to negotiate a 2-for-1 flip to a player, maybe makes sense. So before I just outright drop Carter, maybe I'll see if that Breece Hall owner wants his handcuff.
I think that's a great mentality, Bob. We do have, you only got a couple of days and we'll see what happens, tonight. But I like that. Maybe instead of like the immediate drop somebody, like take a couple steps. And maybe Mike has done that. Maybe Mike's tried the league quickly to make a couple trades, hasn't. So now he's kind of like, this is my only opportunity. Also, I would be curious, Mike, maybe the rest of your bench, perhaps there's another player that, I don't know, maybe you have like Cole Kmet or like somebody that, potentially is just an easier drop than these two guys. Because to be honest with you, like Breece Hall's the man, obviously. If anything were to happen to him, though, Michael Carter did well in the first 2 weeks. Adam Thielen's not Adam Thielen anymore, but he's going to get work. And if anything happens to JJ, then, of course, Thielen would be that guy. So I hate to lose either one of them, but potentially you can get them both back next week if you really want to there. All right, let's tune in here. We got an old friend of ours. Bob and I go way back here with 23423, 23423, which is code for our friend Beach, who was in our program all of last year, every single morning, lots of questions, big-time contributor to the Fantasy Focused and a TCK crew last year. So, Beach, welcome back, bud. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and returning to show your support. Jerry Jeudy, J.K. Dobbins, Flex. Beach, you know the rules. Please give us the league settings. We'll go half PPR here until you chime back in. But Jeudy or Dobbins, Flex, half PPR. Gladys, we'll start with you.
I don't trust Russell Wilson, and especially on a Monday night.
Another primetime Russ game, baby. Buckle up.
I'm gonna go J.K. Dobbins. I don't know. I think Wink is going to have something that's going to stymie Lamar Jackson, although I don't think he can totally stop him. So he's going to have to peripheralize himself. Oh my God, I don't think that's a word, but I think I just invented it. And I think J.K. Dobbins over Jeudy, who hasn't really been showing much lately. J.K. Dobbins.
Before we move on, can you repeat the word?
No, because I made it up. Yes.
No, was it perfalized?
Can you use it in another sentence, please?
Yeah. Are there any alternate pronunciations for perfalize? You know the language of origin by chance? I want to double check.
The language of origin is Tylerville.
Okay. I dig it. We're gonna count it. You know what, Gladys?
I like it.
Perfalize is in the books. You got it.
Word.
Bob, Jerry, Jeudy, Dobbins will go half. Oh, it is half. Beach confirmed it is half PPR.
It's J.K. Dobbins for me. We're starting to see, I think, like a lot of these guys early on in the season. Now we're getting into the middle part of the year. These injured players that we all expect to get up to slower starts because of the injuries from last year. I think J.K. Dobbins starting to get ramped up. Giants are not a formidable run to either, so I think I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins. And I think Gladys is right. I don't trust Russ yet. Now he just got like what happened, an injection or something. I'm going to wait. I'm going to take a wait and see approach on Russ and that passing offense outside of Cortland Sutton. And I am going to go with J.K. Dobbins.
Speaking of Russell Wilson, you know what's dangerous, folks? putting Russell Wilson in your
And
fantasy lineup.
Or watch that commercial.
He's pretty rough.
He's
pretty
really
rough.
bad. It's so bad.
I don't dislike the guy as like a human being, but he's a bit cringy sometimes. Derek, Judy, Dobbins, half flex.
You know, I'd want to take a chance with Judy. I really do. Chargers have been pretty open with the wide receivers, and it's got to get desperation time. With the Broncos, they really need to open that up and take the handcuffs off of Wilson. His shoulder may be banged up, but he's been playing with handcuffs on too, so they can take those off and get those receivers moving. Maybe Melvin Gordon opens it up a little bit, and you can do that against the Chargers. If you're in a position where you need the floor, then take Dobbins. If you're lucky enough and you just you have some comfort and you want to just go for a bigger day, I would go Judy. That would be my play.
I like it. I'm going to lean Dobbins in this one too. Every week I seem to have one or two cop-out questions where I kind of don't pick Jerry Jeudy simply because I don't trust him, but it's kind of that gut-wrenching. Like I could totally see Jeudy taking an 87-yard slant to the house in this game though. It should be a shootout-ish if the Broncos show up. So if they do that, it looks like Beach already started Terry McLaurin on Thursday, unfortunately. So now with that note, let's just put this in real quick and we'll move on. Does the note of him starting Terry McLaurin, who I don't even think has played this season yet, and Washington putting up kind of a dud, is that going to change your thought process on who might have a higher ceiling to make up for Terry McLaurin at this point, or we keep it normal? Basically, Jerry Jeudy's a guy that I want on my bench this week because I haven't seen it weekly, and I want Jerry Jeudy to go off on my bench. Obviously, I want J.K. Dobbins in my lineup to score more points, so I make the right decision, but I want Jerry Jeudy on my bench to have 6 for 95 and a touchdown or something back. Okay, that one felt good. We can do it moving forward versus like it's a due game that, the Broncos should play better because they should have played better the last 3 games. And it's making me a little nervous. So I'm going to kind of cop out on that one. With the ceiling involved here with Terry McLaurin getting started on Thursday, does that change anything? We'll go quickly around Robin here. Back to you, Bob.
I'm going to go Dobbins either way.
Okay. Gladys?
Dobbins.
Derek?
Yeah, and just real quick, I didn't mention it before, but, I'm starting to see Kenyon Drake get a little more action in Baltimore too, which makes me a little skittish with Dobbins. So I'm in this case, and, I need to put up a number. I would go Jeudy.
Got it. Awesome. Appreciate that. Beach, really great to hear from you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you will be a weekly contributor once again this season. Best of luck to all your games and your matchups here. Feel free to tune in for the rest of the week. So James Gannon wants to know, this is the question that all of us want to know. Bob, I'm going to go to you first here. What is wrong with Kyle Pitts? Kind of a high-level question. You love your high-level analysis. I'll turn it over to you. What's wrong in general with Kyle Pitts? He's killing me. Not only you, James. Don't worry. Everybody else that drafted him in the 3rd round, he's also not producing. There's a tight end that does this every single season, unfortunately, right? And then there's a guy like Gerald Everett who nobody drafts that comes out of nowhere and starts to crush. So, Bob, just high level, what's going on with Kyle Pitts?
Well, the first problem is they don't throw at all. I mean, you notice they leaned into the run heavy, but they really haven't been a pass-heavy team at all with Mariota. And Drake London's emerged quicker than we expected. Drake London has been taking on more of a bigger role. And when you're throwing it 15 to 20 times a game and you have an elite number 1 wide receiver, Pitts is also – I think the other thing, too, with Kyle Pitts is we did see a correction made right before his injury. So right before he got hurt a couple weeks ago, they did go lean into Kyle Pitts again. So I think there's better days ahead, and I think he's actually a buy low personally. The other aspect of this, too, is Kyle Pitts isn't used traditional. Like, he's not going to be a blocking inline tight end. He's basically a glorified slot receiver. He actually leads the team in slot routes. So it's, in my opinion, I think just those kind of tight ends are hard to find in fantasy. I think he's a hold/go get. And I do think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to kind of regress back to the mean at some point and throw a little bit more rest of season. So, and let's say they start falling behind, they go to Desmond Ridder. That's another thing that could happen here, which could throw a curveball in this. But I think overall, I'm holding Kyle Pitts. I know it's been tough but we don't panic after the first month of the season. I do think there was a correction starting to happen before his injury.
I dig it. Derek, anything to add?
No, I really liked the analysis with Drake London, coming on sooner. These defenses coming into the year, they knew what they had to scheme against Kyle Pitts and to take him out, which helped Drake London. And that, now that there's a little bit of help there, and if the Falcons start opening up more to Pitts, I think he'll be just fine. I'm the same way. Buy low, hold him as much as you can. If you've got another tight end that you can play just until we really see the Falcons, right the ship, you're going to have a gem towards the end of the year. But right now he's virtually unplayable, and unfortunately probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, disappointments so far in the early season.
I agree. Gladys?
Last 3 games, Marcus Mariota has attempted 20 passes, 19 passes, 25 passes. You're not going to get volume out of your wide receivers or your slot receivers or your tight ends when that's all the passes that you attempt. So I agree with Bobby. Unless Desmond Ridder comes in and starts chucking the ball, I would try to. I have Kyle Pitts. I play him every week because there's that 1 week where all 25 passes that Mariota attempts is going to go to Kyle Pitts and he's going to score 3 touchdowns. But I wouldn't bank on it.
Yeah. And just to geek out on numbers a little bit, if you just take 20 to 25 attempts per game, which is very, very low in the NFL, of course.
Yeah.
And then you just assume that basically about a third of those are going to be incompletions one way or another. They're about 66%. Completion percentage is pretty much league average. That only leaves you with 14, 15, maybe 20 actual completions. And then you're distributing that around the offense, which is a little bit tough there. So I totally agree. Also, the 49ers this week, Kyle Pitts has been beat up this week. He is going to play. But the 49ers are the best against tight ends, essentially. And that's not boding well either. So I would certainly sit Kyle Pitts. For example, I'm starting Irv Smith over Kyle Pitts this week, and I feel pretty good about it. So that's kind of how deep we are on these. James also has another question here. Full PPR, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Heem Mostert. I love all these Mostert loves the last couple of weeks. Derek, we'll start with you. CEH or your boy Mostert?
Mostert. Yeah, again, like I said, I'm trusting the knee's okay to play. He made me look good last week. I'm going to try to go back to that and have him do it again.
Bubba?
Yeah, Clyde just he gets 9 carries for 20 yards and then scores 2 touchdowns.
TDs, yeah. Super.
It's I was curious to see how he did last year against Buffalo, just because I don't know, it's just 7 carries for 13 yards. That's not good.
Horrendous.
And in the playoff game, he went 7 for 60. Yeah. I'm okay. I feel like he's going to score a touchdown. I'm going to go Raheem Mostert.
Gladys?
I'm going to go Raheem Mostert too. CEH is. Yeah, he gets minus yards and he still scores 2 touchdowns or 1 touchdown, but that's not something you can depend on. So I'm going to go Mostert.
Same. And I hope CEH can blow up on my bench. I know it's lame. But the efficiency has not been. Oh, hold on. The efficiency has been there. I'll say that. Yeah. The volume and the actual yardage marks that we just bank on in fantasy have not. And yes, the Chiefs could score 4 touchdowns every single week. We know that. And they probably will score 6 this week. So CH is probably looking good. But if Heem is healthy, I think that the Dolphins are going to have to roll through the run game to slow down a little bit. So I do like Heem this week. All right, Gladys, this one's for you here. Mike Jordan has a situation that needs to be perfilized.
Yes.
Start one flex. Full PPR, Sutton or Kenneth Walker. Perfilize it for us, Gladys.
For PPR, I'm going to go Sutton, because he's going to get the targets more than Walker will. I'm almost positive that he will have at least double the amount of targets. And if you use Perfilize every day, I will love you so much, Mike Jordan. Every day, use it. But Sutton is he's the only person basically that Russell Wilson is attempting to throw the ball to. And Kenneth Walker, this is his first full start, and he's more of that run kind of guy, and we don't know what he can do. Go with Sutton on a Monday night. That way you have that points. You know what I'm saying? Purplize it, baby. Purplize it, baby.
Purplize it. Sounds like a old workout, like purplize it.
Well, you know what?
Let's get purpalized.
You know the percolating one song? It's like kinda percolizing. I don't even know. Like I'm percolating.
What
you know
the?
Song?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Bob, I feel like all of us are too old to be getting cool on new age pop songs. Maybe somebody in the audience can help us with
Percolator is like from the 80s. What are you talking about?
No, I know. I'm saying creating a remix of something cool.
Scott,
we'll have to go to the TikTok. We'll have to go to the TikTok filters and see what we can do.
Don't you squash my creative, this is what brings out the best in us, man. If I want to move from fantasy football and start singing weird songs, I'm going to do that. All right.
I dig it. Sutton or Ken Walker, who are you purpalizing in PPR, Derek?
So if you go to the Razzball defensive slot versus wide tool, and
that's a really good tool to use.
It is, and this here's a great example. You pull up the Chargers defense, and you find that they're giving up just under 14 points per game to the slot, but they're giving up over 23 points per game to the wideouts. And as was mentioned just now, Courtland Sutton's getting the targets. He's getting 9 per game, and he lines up a majority time on the outside. And so, if there's any matchup that it's gonna favor him, and if, like we talked about before, if Wilson can play without the handcuffs on in a full PPR, I like Sutton. I like Sutton here a lot.
Okay,
nice, Derek.
Do we think
Way to
Wilson's
use the
been
tools available
handcuffed, or
to
is he
us.
just bad? He was just bad in that Thursday night game. He was missing wide receivers. And who targets Stephon Gilmore? The only cornerback that Indianapolis has, and you're going to throw all your passes towards him. Come on. Wilson's
yeah,
fine.
well, like I said too, I mean, Gilmore's obviously a huge part of that, but the Colts right now, whether people are running all over them or what, I mean, they are number one against fantasy wide receivers right now overall. So
Kenneth
they
Walker
have just
is allowing
been tough.
125.9 passer rating when targets are thrown to him in the slot.
I would be interested, Gladys, if you have that. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you have it available, look at Gilmore on the other side and just see what it looks like, because he might
Gilmore's
just be like
no. Gilmore's only allowing
dominant.
No, he's completely dominating. He's allowing a 59.4% passer rating and he's allowing 59.4% passing to allow in his coverage and a 67.4 passer rating when thrown to him. He's dominating.
So, and we only have 4 or 5 games for analysis, but
it's enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
Don't throw in Gilmore's
Bob, you chimed in on this one, correct? I know we talked about purpalizing and the jam. Did you actually get your answer in?
No, because I had priorities.
Totally. Yeah, I hear you.
And now he's frozen.
Oh, which is so gangster. Look at that freeze, dude. That is worth it. That was a mic drop. That was like you fronting with me? You fronting with me? Oh man, that was too good. Hold on. Look at that, Bob. Please tell me you can see your own screen over here.
I can't. No.
Oh god, so worth it.
It was
perfect,
dude. It was so. You're like.
Yeah, well, I know you're stunting my growth in my creative juices first thing in the morning, sir. No, I'm gonna go Kenneth Walker. I mean, the Arizona run defense isn't even that good, and we're talking. This guy is like, when you looked at his player comps this offseason, we did our dynasty stuff. I mean, it's like insane. It's like LaDainian Tomlinson and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just so. If this guy has got like these crazy comps, now he's going to be a workhorse. I mean, I'm not worried about Travis Homer and DJ Dallas taking passing game work. I don't give a shit. Like, it's going to be Kenneth Walker's backfield. He's going to get at least 15 to 20 carries in this game. And Arizona really, I do agree though that Sutton should be good, and that's why this is a good question. But the other thing too is J.C. Jackson's been in and out of the lineup all year. So I mean, maybe we don't really know how good or bad that Chargers secondary is yet until we see a healthy J.C. Jackson out there too. So I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. I just think that he's going to be a workhorse. He's going to get the work, and that's why I'm going to go him over Courtland Sutton. Now we have a couple one shout out. What's up, man? Morena, how you doing? What's going on? We appreciate you too, Beach. We love you, man. We appreciate, of course. We got another question here. I'm going to kick it over to you, Derek. We got Njoku or Kyle Pitts. Who are you picking this week?
Yeah, this was kind of a follow-up. We were talking about Pitts. He was asking about him before, and we, for all the reasons that we said, we want to hold Pitts, but we're not really planning to start him today. Definitely Njoku for me today.
Gladys?
Njoku.
I'm going to go Njoku too. Scott, what's your thoughts here?
Samesies. I wanted to chime in. Sorry, my puppy went fleek outside. I had to shut her down because again, it's only 9 a.m. and she was trying to kill 9 squirrels. I can't have that in the neighborhood.
You just said fleek, and you're getting on my case about hit songs. You're just a trendy word,
dude. My daughter's in college, bro. I'm way cooler than I look. Trust me. Trust me. All right, I wanted to try. Fair enough. I wanted to chime in really quick on Ken Walker as well. If you think about a Seattle running back and just kind of ground and pound, they're not really, dink and dunks, as we talked about this earlier. Coming out of the draft as a pure runner specifically, Ken Walker was kind of that number one guy. It wasn't Breece Hall. Breece Hall is the best overall back because he has the pass catching chops as well. But Ken Walker at Michigan State was an animal on the ground specifically. And that's perfect for Seattle. So we could be having a beast mode, kind of a Chris Carson was that guy for a couple of years as well. Rashaad Penny's been great when healthy for 3 games a season, but maybe now hopefully it's Ken Walker time. So I appreciate that. All right, let's get to Official Savage is back. Great to hear from you as well. Good morning. Flex PPR. All right, we got a big one here. This is our first kind of multi-name one here. We can focus up. Flex PPR, T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jacoby Myers, Rondell Moore, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. Don't have a running back worth mentioning this week. First of all, let's pour one out for anybody that doesn't have a running back worth mentioning right now. It's a little bit skinny if you don't have the top dogs. And, of course, you have a couple big names out. Dameon Pierce is out this week. Jamal Williams is out this week. Josh Jacobs is out this week. And, of course, King Henry as well. So, again, Higgins, Smith, Myers, Moore, Deontay Johnson, and Pickens. PPR flex. We need to start one of these guys in the flex position. So I would imagine your other wide receivers are stacked if this is your wide receiver bench. But if we're reading it correctly, we're just looking at one here for flex PPR. Derek, we'll start with you.
Yeah, this is quite the list. Out of those names, I think I'm going to make my pitch for Deontay Johnson, and here's why. He's getting 10 targets per game. This is a PPR. Did I read that right? Yes, PPR. So 10 targets per game. Primarily works out of the outside. The Bucs are about mid-pack versus wide receivers, but they are giving about almost 18 points per game to the wideouts. And we really think that's going to be a shootout there. I think we all are fairly high on the Bucs this week. So I'm not. Last week we were a little bit worried about Pickett and as far as how he's going to throw, but he kind of put that to rest for me anyway. He's not afraid to throw. Again, like I said, Deontay Johnson is getting 10 targets a game, so three last week in the red zone. So I think out of these names, I think Deontay Johnson is the guy I want.
I like it. I'll just add a little bit here. Official Savage did jump back here. Gabe Davis and Godwin are the starters. So let's kind of manipulate the question a little bit. Derek, I'll stick with you and we'll move on here. So Gabe Davis, Chris Godwin, and all of these wide receiver names. Let's pick 3 in PPR. We'll do it that way.
Yeah, I like his first 2. I'm going to play Davis and Godwin for sure, and I'll stick with my my choice with Johnson.
Okay, cool. Gladys?
So we know that the Steelers are going to be playing from way behind. We know that Pickett's going to be throwing. Since week 3, George Pickens has had a 21.59% target share. And he will run 90% of his routes against Carlton Davis, who's giving up 102.6 passer rating when wide receivers go against him. I'm going to go Pickens because I think T. Higgins is just going to be. I think T. Higgins is going to be a decoy this week. I don't think he's well. Jacoby Myers doesn't see enough volume, and he's coming off an injury too. I'm going to go Pickens because I think that game's just going to. Pittsburgh has nothing else to do but throw the ball a lot.
Fair enough. And you're good with Gabe Davis and Godwin as his first 2?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bob?
I'm going to say T. Higgins because I just hate being happy. Because it's just like T. Higgins is gonna. I know last week he plays 10 snaps and gets hurt. By the way, I lost a 5-person parlay because of T. Higgins, and I just sat around for like I had 4 out of 5, and T. Higgins doesn't play. I actually emailed the site. It was
does this count?
I just call it a wash. They're like, he played 1 snap. You can't get your money back. I'm like, come on. But
rigged.
So,
shit's rigged.
Yeah, bullshit. I think. Well, first of all, no Marshon Lattimore for the New Orleans Saints, and they're already struggling against perimeter wide receivers. If you look at our slot versus wide analysis, they're allowing 25.4, which is above average points out wide. And I think, listen, if T. Higgins, I'm just, whatever. It's just the matchup's good. They say he's gonna play. I hate myself. Equals, I'm gonna put T. Higgins in here. I just think he's gonna be. I think it's just like we're all gonna overreact to what happened last week. In reality, it's a simple answer. It should be just T. Higgins and a good matchup, top quarterback out. And the answer is he'll play 5 snaps, and I'll just cry all day. So that's my analysis there.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's quality analysis. First of all, I'm actually going to go with Devonte Smith here. So unfortunately, for Official Savage, I think we picked 4 different players, and this has not been helpful at all. And I apologize, but I hope some of this analysis has. I will tell you, all of us feel good about Gabe Davis and Chris Godwin, so you're good there. The next person, I think the only one we haven't mentioned maybe is Rondell Moore, so maybe go with him. But Devonte Smith for me, in the last 3 weeks, he saw 12 targets, just 4 against Jacksonville in a slow game there, but 11 for 10 receptions and 87 yards last week against Arizona. Again, I think this Dallas-Philadelphia game in primetime is going to be big time, and I think they're just going to try to double up on A.J. Brown, which, I mean, A.J. Brown had a massive introduction to Philly in week 1, but he's been pedestrian at best since then. And Devonta Smith has really popped off. So that number 2 role for Devonta Smith has really allowed him to shine. I think he's going to be just fine. He was the number 1 wide receiver in week 3 versus Washington there. So Dallas is much better defense, of course, but I do think he's kind of my third wheel here with a lot of upside in that game potentially. So Official Savage, again, sorry for the non-collective grab here, but hopefully that was helpful. All right, guys, I have to get going here.
Maybe we have a side bet amongst the 4 of us. You know, which one of those 4 wide receivers pops? You know, maybe we'll have to talk about that offline.
I like this. Yeah, the rare quad box complete disagreement. We usually don't even have enough players to do that. I've got to jump in about 2 minutes, but I would love to get a couple more questions in before I go here. Let's try to get a little bit quicker through these so that I can grab a couple more questions. Sean Davis wants to know in the flex position, ETN or Isaiah McKenzie? Isaiah McKenzie, ETN, Bob? Flex? We'll go half PPR.
Give me McKenzie.
Derek?
McKenzie.
Gladys?
McKenzie.
Oh, I want to go ETN, but I think it's a James Robinson game. I agree. Let's go with McKenzie all around. Thank you, Sean, for tuning in. Jefferson23 is back, half PPR flex. Kirk at Indy, Juju versus Buffalo. Look at that. Even extra credit here for the matchups in the question. Well done. Kirk at Indy, Juju at Buffalo. Derek?
I'm going to take Kirk here. Yeah, I don't like – you're really just not sure what's going to come out of Kansas City. You know, they've got so many weapons there. You know, Kelsey gets the majority of it. And I've been burnt so many times by Juju, especially against Buffalo this week. I'm going Christian Kirk.
Gladys?
Okay. I know you want to go fast. I can't. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I like Christian Kirk, but the Bills play zone defense. Juju runs 50% of his routes against the zone. He's like 7th in. Okay, if Juju can perform, I'm going to go Juju, but we don't know if Juju can perform, so I'm going Juju. Oh, do you want more?
I'm thinking about what you said, and you know, Buffalo does play primarily zone defense there, so it could be interesting. But zone defense and Kansas City just tells me that Travis Kelce will have 4 touchdowns and 25 yards receiving.
Stop saying that.
Therefore, there's no room.
No,
I'm sorry. That's just statistics. I mean, that's just reality of like what happens with the Chiefs. So, unfortunately, yeah, it could be a big Noah Gray game. We'll see what happens. Bob?
Kirk. I think you got to remember Marvin Jones is out today. Zay Jones is banged up too, so Kirk might be the only really healthy receiver out there. And I do like when they have a guy out because he's moved all over the formation. He usually plays just in the slot when those two guys are healthy. When one of those guys are out, he actually moves all around the formation. Last time when Zay Jones was out, he played 50-50. So I like when they get some of them involved, moved around. I know Stephon Gilmore's a stud, but he'll be moved around all over the formation, and I think he'll be solid today.
So you don't think Gilmore will shadow, correct? He doesn't generally shadow.
He doesn't, but he actually, when I'm looking at the stats, he actually split his time on the left and right side. So
Right.
it's not, he doesn't. The funny thing is PFF doesn't do shadow coverage anymore, which is unfortunate because it was a cool tool. I actually don't have a resource anymore for that other than looking at how players perform and are they just one side or the other. But Stephon Gilmore has been moved around, but only on the perimeter. And like I said, Kirk will get into the slot about half the time anyway, so he's not going to be shadowed 100%. So
he doesn't shadow. They just switch him up on side to side, not according to who's playing, but just according to what scheme they're playing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
So.
All right. So maybe it's a fade Evan Ingram week then. Go ahead.
Nothing.
Oh.
I have nothing.
Oh, you just got super excited. I wanted to make sure you weren't, perfilizing without us. So, okay.
Oh, don't you start perfilizing.
Yeah. No, it's collective perfilizing.
You guys will be the first to know.
Awesome. All right. Jefferson 23 back with another one here. Running back options, James Robinson, ETN, half flex, PPR. I think we've talked about this quite a bit here, but Robinson or ETN this week, Gladys?
ETN.
Bob?
Robinson.
Derek?
Robinson.
I'll go Robinson as well. Love me some ETN though. Matt Stiller, full PPR, pick 4. Need one running back. So need a running back, pick 4 total. Najee, Dillon, DJ Moore, Juju, Kirk, and McKenzie. Bob, we'll start with you. Pick 4, need at least one running back. Full
I like how we get these ones you have to give me a think here, and I get the first pick here. I mean, all right. What has happened with Najee Harris? Huh? I mean, Jesus. I was a year early on my Najee Harris fade, I guess.
It's the Liz Frank thing. He'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Not this week, though. Yeah. Not this week.
Yeah, I'm not playing him, really. I'm going to go A.J. Dillon as my running back out of those two. And then I guess I'm assuming we have to pick from these 3 other receivers. And how we feel about P.J. Walker? Do we have any P.J. Walker?
Truthers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Robbie Anderson over DJ Moore, which is strange.
Yeah.
That's been his targets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go Kirk McKenzie. I mean,
it's basically DJ Moore or Juju, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you could, well, it depends, right? You could technically do Najee too.
Well, sure.
If you wanted to.
Against Tampa, though? No. That's a quick fade for me.
Yeah.
Carolina's got the bang. I mean, Carolina's got the Rams who, I mean, they haven't been really that scary for wide receivers. And then you got Kansas City. I'm going to go DJ Moore, Kirk, McKenzie.
And Dillon, correct?
Dillon, of course, yeah.
Okay, Derek?
Yeah, I'm going to do the same for there's no question Dillon over Najee for me. And I'm looking at Robbie Anderson. He's actually going to be one of my wide receiver long shots today. But I think they're there for DJ Moore, and I like him over. I like the other 3 over Juju. So, yeah, I'm the same with Bobby.
Gladys?
I'm going Dillon, Juju, Kirk, McKenzie.
Okay, I'll take the same 4 as looks like we're all going Dillon, Kirk, and McKenzie. The difference is going to be DJ Moore and Dallas. We're all fading Najee this week, unfortunately. But I am also going to go DJ Moore as well. So Bob, Derek, and I are going Dillon, Moore, Kirk, and McKenzie, and Juju Gladys will swap in Juju for DJ Moore there. All right, last question for me, y'all, and I got to take off here. Andrew wants to know AJ Dillon, so we'll back up AJ Dillon here. Deion Jackson, first question for Deion Jackson and James Robinson. Full PPR. Let's pick one of these running backs. Gladys, we'll start with you.
James Robinson. Dillon's been getting less and less snaps. And Deion Jackson, I don't even know. Yeah, James Robinson.
Bob?
Yeah, what's going on with the AJ Dillon thing? Why is that happening? That's super weird.
Because Aaron Rodgers is a dick.
And Aaron Jones is awesome.
Okay. Not too.
Well, didn't they? I mean, the Giants game was so funny last week when they beat them. I was like, what is going on? It made no sense. I have to actually care about the Giants again, which is the worst. I am going to go. You know what? Give me. When the Packers have the Jets, give me AJ Dillon. I think they're gonna beat them down, and they're gonna use AJ Dillon in the second half.
Big home game, bounce back. I think this could be. It's either Rodgers for like 5 touchdowns, or they just smash early and then run it out. So I like that call there, Derek.
You know, with the first two, there's just question marks. I think with Deion Jackson, he's got. I'm not worried about Phillip Lindsay at all. Last week, Jackson had 44 snaps, 13 for 62. 4 receptions on 4 targets. Even got targeted in the red zone, and he's going to get the rock. So I'm in this one case. I'm going to take a chance on Deion Jackson.
I really want to go with Deion Jackson only because he's going to get all the work. But I don't know if I trust this offense. You know, and AJ Dillon and James Robinson, Derek, I honestly totally agree with you. I could see the Packers blowing the Jets out. I could see James Robinson
Jaguars
having another great game.
Jaguars aren't all that stout against the running backs either, 23rd versus running backs. So I think that just gives them a little bit of confidence for me, even though we really don't know what we're going to get with him. I have a little bit of optimism. Yeah,
I'm gonna throw a curveball here and go with Deion Jackson, getting all that work there for 1 week. We see these guys sometimes, like the third stringer gets 1 week, dude's extra hyped. All of his family comes out for the game, and you know he could just pop off for this one particular week. I don't love him long term per se, but Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor are out there. So I'm going to go Deion Jackson here in a full PPR. I think he could catch some passes. I'll leave y'all with this one, and I'll sign off. Official Savage is back. Now, didn't go with Gladys last time I was on here, and her pick went for 30 points on my bench.
Peripheralizing!
I don't want to get burned again. Hashtag Perfilizer.
Yes!
Be careful, folks. All right? Gladys is throwing out knowledge for free right now on the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show. That's minimum, Savage, worth a follow on Twitter for Gladys. And secondly, make sure to hit Gladys Tyler on Twitter, but also make sure to tell your friends and family. We appreciate you, man. I know you've been involved with us for quite a long time. So thank you very much. I'm going to sign off here, everybody. Benjamin Dawson's got a question for y'all. I'll get out of here. I wish everybody wonderful, wonderful week 6. And I'll catch you on Tuesday with Matt Stiles for the trades and waiver wire article. Best of luck to everybody. Take care.
See ya. All right, hey guys, bear with me in here. This is a rough week. He needs 2 RBs and a flex. So Benjamin brings us down. He has Melvin Gordon, Najee Harris, Deion Jackson, Alex Pierce, and Rondell Moore. So we need 2 running backs and a flex. Let's kick it over to you, Gladys, first. What are you thinking? It's half PPR, by the way.
Okay, so I'm gonna go Melvin Gordon. He's okay, right? Like he was questionable, but now he's healthy.
He's good. He's
okay. I'm gonna go Melvin Gordon, and then I really like Alex Pierce today. I don't know why, but I do. Alex Pierce, Melvin Gordon. Wait, 2 running backs and a flex?
2 running backs and a flex, yeah.
You're not playing Najee, so Melvin Gordon and Deion Jackson and Alex Pierce. But Rondell Moore's close second.
Derek?
Yeah, this is actually pretty easy for me, and I'm taking the same 3. Gordon, Deion Jackson. I just talked about Deion Jackson, but I really like Alex Pierce today as well. Jaguars are giving up 23 points per game to the wideouts versus just 6 for the slots, and Pierce, it just lives on the outside. 83% of his routes are on the outside. I think Alex Pierce is a sleeper pick today, and I really like him in the flex here.
I like that because I have to start him as my wide receiver 3 in a bunch of leagues. So let's go. Alex Pierce, Melvin Gordon, and I'm going to go Deion Jackson as well. I just have the Deion Jackson situation. These like when you have like the 3rd and 4th running backs now in the fold, like it's going to be a Phillip Lindsay week. We're just going to be like, all right, I guess we're all wrong. But if we're going to go by the numbers and what is the best matchups, it's Deion Jackson, Alex Pierce, and Melvin Gordon. Well, Benjamin, we appreciate the question. Let's jump down to Thomas Healy. Pickens or Higgins, full PPR. Let's go down to you first, Derek. What's up?
Ooh, full PPR. I think just volume-wise, we talked earlier about the Steelers having to throw, and I mean that's going to be a great game though in the Bayou too. But I've been leaning in Pickens here.
Gladys,
I honestly think that Higgins is going to be a decoy. I mean, it's a great matchup with Lattimore out, but I don't I think it's a Jamar Chase day, so I'm going to go Pickens.
Makes sense, man. But I'm just gonna burn my own bridges. I'm gonna go with T. Higgins. I don't care. You know what? The thing with the Steelers situation last week, we got a glimpse of game flow, right? Pickens threw the ball 53 times last week, and Pickens was good. He had like 6 for 80, but like he had 6 for 83, and they threw the ball 53 times. So I think like knowing that's probably gonna be his ceiling, I think T. Higgins is just, I don't know, man. You know, can you just get your foot together, whatever the ankle, whatever the hell's the problem is, just get out there and get healthy. But I think without Marshon Lattimore, let's just I don't care if I'm wrong. It's all right. It's fine. It is what it is. It's fine. But yeah, just want to do one thing before we go too. When I was checking this for weather updates, I know a lot of people come on here, check out for weather. We ran through all that stuff. I can tell you right now, there's nothing bad weather-wise. There's no like high wind games, there's no rain games this week. We are scot-free when it comes to weather. So I think that's okay from that aspect. There is a couple injury updates too. Wan'Dale Robinson is interesting to me. He's active today. He's been out since week 1. We know Kadarius Toney and Golladay have been banged up and they're out, but I think he's a good speculative add. I mean, the Giants are great. Like they need somebody to step up in the receiving core. I mean, they can't lean on Barkley, and with Daniel Jones's foot, you know, he did run a decent amount last week, but Rondell Robinson is a stash. I do think that's someone you want to put in your bench just to see if he earned. I mean, he's going to be the slot guy, and I do think that, but I'm interested to see if he can earn a role in 2 receiver sets, because we got guys like David Stills out there, Richie James, who are, you know, journeymen at best outside of Darius Slayton. So that is notable there. Before we have any other additional questions too, let's kick it down to you, Derek, first. Is there any – you talked about Alex Pierce, great teaser for this question. Is there any other players matchup-wise or players that you're kind of getting in your DFS lineups, maybe guys you picked up waivers that you're starting this week you want to highlight for the show?
Yeah, so, well, first I'll start at quarterback, and then what you just said is a great segue. I really like Daniel Jones today. I think, I say really like. He doesn't get me that excited. But however, if I'm going to get excited about Daniel Jones, it's going to be today. I think he's got some opportunity against the Ravens defense. We already talked about we like Darius Slayton, and you just mentioned you talked about some of the other options there he has as well. So I'd like that. But on the wide receiver side, a little bit of a reach for me is Devonte Parker. We know Ramondre Stevenson's going to get a lot of work today. Jacoby Myers, he gets it. He gets his work when he's there. But I really like Devonte Parker. And the Browns are really tight on their slot receivers, defense for slot receivers, but they are just the opposite on the wideouts. And again, Devonte Parker really spends most of his time outside. And, if Bailey Zapp can get the ball out to Parker, I really think that he's going to have a game.
All right, Gladys, same question for you. Is any player now that we've answered 100 questions and we've looked at all the matchups, is there anything that kind of stood out to you this week that you think are going to have a player that's going to have a big game this week? Maybe not a top 20 player, but someone that's a flex play usually that is going to have a big week this week.
So I think you and I talked about this. I think that Arizona and Seattle game. Sorry, my dog is just being a complete asshole right now. The Arizona and Seattle, the Arizona and Seattle game, I think it's going to go off, and both of them are really weak against the tight ends. So I would, in fact, in one of the DFS lineups I have, I played Zach Ertz and stacked and put Disley in the flex. So I would be okay with any of the tight ends in that game. Even Noah Fant might have a game, but Disley has been out targeting him. He's been more productive, more efficient with his production than Noah Fant. So I say play Zach Ertz and play, although in DFS he's kind of expensive, but it's okay, and play Disley, who isn't expensive at all in DFS on DraftKings. And that's another thing. Like Tyler Lockett isn't either. So get on there, get them in your lineup, because I think that game is going to just explode more so than the game after, the Buffalo KC game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about the same question too for me. Like, there's a lot of players in situations now we're starting to see like these injuries, these big names like James Conner, Rashaad Penny, all these big time running backs are now gone, and we have these backups coming in. We've been talking about Deion Jackson today. But what I found interesting is in my matchup metric, it's Ramondre Stevenson was like he's like this consensus. He's going to probably be the most owned player in DFS today because like he's got this matchup against Cleveland, who's banged up. No Javade,
36% right now.
He's only 6%.
36.
Oh, okay, that's still pretty high.
Yeah,
it's still pretty, but it's not crazy. But like he's got in our actually, and make sure everyone who's watching today, you go to our tools and resources tab, our fantasy data tab, because we have a offensive line versus defensive line metric, and Ramondre Stevenson has the number one matchup. So the offensive line versus the Patriots versus the defensive line with no Jadeveon Clowney, and then you got guys like Eno Benjamin, who's got a matchup against Seattle today, where you're like, it kind of makes sense. So I might be dabbling in a lot of these backup running backs who are getting some spot starts today, because I'm pretty excited about that. But is there any lineup, while we're all together, any lineup questions you guys have for your own teams that you want to, ask the team about some start sits? I might have to ask you guys actually, but does anybody have a lineup start sit question there they want to throw out for the show?
I don't have enough players available to have a quandary for start sit lineups. Like
I gotta go.
Okay, go.
No, I gotta go. But no, you can finish first. So go ahead. But
I don't have any. I mean, everyone on my bench is either hurt or on a bye, so I have to play who I have.
So I have an annoying team. Like I have a team so my team is a 10-team league. Whatever. I am so bad at my start sits because my players are fine, but my running backs are Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette, Jeff Wilson on the bench. Brian Robinson already played, but I had him on my bench. And James Conner's on IR. So he's in my out for the day. So my three running back starts are Fournette, Walker, Mixon, and then I also have Wilson on the bench. My receivers are Marquise Hollywood-Brown, Adam Thielen, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk, Brandon Cooks. So I need to start two running backs, two receivers, and a flex. So let's start with the running backs. Right now I have Fournette, Walker, and Mixon in with Wilson on the bench. Would either of you switch Wilson in for one of those three running backs?
No, not me.
Gladys?
No.
Who's Cincy playing?
New Orleans.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, no. Who's on your bench? Wilson? I might switch Wilson and Mixon. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, no, it's funny because they're like this. This is in our matchup metric. They're like right here, and I'm like, I don't know. All right, so that's great.
So they're going. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase are going back to New Orleans, right? No Marshon Lattimore, and Chase has not been playing well. Well, he's been playing well, but not fantasy well. I just see them like Joe Burrow is like, okay, now I'm going to show everyone what I can do on a fast.
Yeah.
So I just feel that it's not going to be a mixing game. It's going to be a wide receiver. Unfortunately, not T. Higgins wide receiver, but a wide receiver game.
Yeah, my rule of thumb at the point like this, if you're you're flipping the coin, just play the best player, and just take what you can get. You made the right decision, play the best player. But if it's not, if it's agonizing you, just play the best player and go with it.
But the problem is the best player has been Jeff Wilson. If you look at the stats,
yeah,
that's the weird part. Yes, pure talent, Joe Mixon. But if you look at Wilson's numbers, it's like last week, 17 carries, 120 yards and a touchdown. Week 4, 18, 74 and 1, 12 for 75, 18 for 84. And then if you look at Mixon's numbers, I'm just trying to talk through it because I get this wrong. I've literally been wrong every week. I've been wrong every single week. I have had more. Last week, I think I scored like 60 points in my starting lineup in this league, and my bench had like 85. And it's like, I don't even care anymore. It was just bad. So, and then Mixon is like 24 for 61, 14 for 78 last week, 12 for 24. So I get what you're saying. It's true. Man, I hate that. This made me even more confused. But I get what you're saying. That's why I'm going to lean Mixon probably, which is going to be the wrong answer. But at the same time, I get what you're saying. But the receivers, I have Marquise Hollywood-Brown, and this is me using our slot versus wide metric. The one thing Seattle is very good at is stopping perimeter receivers. They funnel everything into the middle of the field. Marquise Brown is pretty much predominantly out wide. But I have him in right now with Adam Thielen. And in my bench, I have T. Higgins, Christian Kirk, on my bench. So would you flip out Brown and Thielen for Cooks or Higgins?
Wait, I would play Kirk. Why aren't you playing Kirk?
But I'm taking out Thielen in that scenario or taking out Brown?
I would.
I mean, Kirk had a very good game last time versus the Colts. I get that. I totally get it. And I basically talked about how, no Marvin Jones, Zay Jones is banged up. And they literally just said this week it could be narrative street, but Doug Peterson was Christian Kirk, he needs 10 targets a game.
Yeah. But Hollywood Brown always is that boomer bust guy. He's going to get that. And didn't Diggs get burnt last week? Don't I have that somewhere? Didn't Quadri just get torched? I would play Kirk and I would take Thielen out, maybe.
Derek?
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping Hollywood Brown in, but you could argue. I mean, I think the Vikings are going to have a better game, and I'm really high on Jefferson there, and I mentioned Osborne as well. A little bit less on Thielen. The Colts are good, versus wide receivers, but that's a tough one. I would probably.
As long as you guys now feel my pain, I'm happy now, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm feeling your pain there because I want to say Thielen, but boy, it just doesn't sit well with me when I think there's more potential with Kirk. I think I would lean Kirk. I would lean Kirk, but I don't like it. I don't like saying it, but
I hate it. So we're on the same page because I hate it too, because it's whatever. Yeah, no, that's fine. This is the one thing about these 10-team leagues. I'm very happy with my team, but I'm a bit wrong all the time. It's just getting to a point where, at this point, I just want to start trading 2 guys and get 1 upgrade and just have my 6 guys I play, and that's it. But yeah, no, it's a good problem to have, and I appreciate that you guys. I saw the pain in your faces. Now you feel it. Now I feel more connected to you. But Derek, do you have any start-sit questions for your lines before we close the show?
Well, not really start-sits, but let me tell you the dilemma I had this week. So Tuesday morning, I had Rashaad Penny and Nyheim Hines as my only 2 healthy. Well, I would say healthy. Only 2 running backs able to play. Because I had Swift on bye, and of course he's been out too. So I turned that into Eno Benjamin and Darrell Henderson.
Damn, that's nice.
So I'm lucky. Our boy Matt Stiles, who does the waiver wire article, I had a whole list of running back options, and he pointed me to Eno, and even before that news came out, so I picked him up, and boy, I was happy. And then when I heard the news that first that Taylor was going to be out, or that he was likely to play, then initially I didn't mess with Hines. I dropped him, and I just picked up Darrell Henderson. And then Friday morning, the news came out that Akiem Hicks was out. So I just pure luck for the second one. But I'm the number 1 team in that league too, so I was really dreading this week, but now I feel a lot better about it. But it just shows, just keep grinding.
Nice. All right, we got one more question before we head out. We have Ryan H coming in. He has Josh Palmer or Brandon Ayuk at the flex. Gladys, why don't you close it out with a strong answer here?
Ayuk. Oh, that wasn't strong enough?
Derek? No, that was perfect. I mean, that's what I asked for. You understood the assignment. I'm proud of you. Derek?
Same Ayuk for me too.
Yeah.
Yes, Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle all have good games today.
All right, I'm into it too. I do like Ayuk as well. I'm into that matchup because the Denver Broncos secondary is something. Russell Wilson's banged up, but the secondary for the Broncos is pretty solid still. So I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk as well. But that's all we got today, folks. That was another episode. Today was a lighter episode, an hour and 40 minutes. Look at us just slacking off in the world. But we got 20 minutes till kickoff. We want to go set our lineups. Get your player props in, get your DFS lineups in. If you need a kicker, go get Dustin Hopkins, the Chargers kicker, or Will Lutz. I promise you guys, we're going to have a great week with kickers. I can't wait till they announce it's full running. But I want to thank my co-host for Sky Gawasco out there somewhere doing whatever he's doing, leaving early, but we love him anyway. Go follow Sky Gawasco, Jacob Charno. We love those guys. Appreciate you being on. Of course, the 2 mainstays, the people that stay by your side through the end. Got to shout out Derek and Gladys. Appreciate you both. And follow Gladys on Twitter at Gladys L. Tyler. And also Derek, by the way, Derek_favorites. By the way, got to follow these. They got brand new Razzball writers. We love you guys doing a great job. Appreciate it. Any closing words for you, Derek, before we close the show?
Yeah, so look for a new article from me this week. I'm going to put together something looking at target trends. So
Nice.
who's getting the targets, who's going up, who's going down, and what that means for us. So look for the first article from me this week on the football side with target trends.
Great. Gladys, anything from you?
No. I everyone do well, play nice.
Win, everybody. Just
win. Everyone, unless I'm playing against you, but everyone other than that, win.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice, smart. I like that. My thing is, go check out our tools and resources, guys. Go to razzball.com. Go check out that fantasy data tab. We have great resources to help you with your start sit questions. And we're going to have a bunch of new stuff coming out starting next week. But thanks again. I'm your host, Bobby Lamarco. This was the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. We are.
Bye, guys.